Good morning. Welcome to Kailul Baker. Welcome YouTube. Welcome Facebook. Welcome to those that are here in person. Imagine a scenario where you have a brother that you're not talking to, or rather your siblings are not talking to. You're talking to him. And your parents want to make some kind of party, a get-together, a family event. And none of the siblings want this brother to be there. Your brother should be invited because he's part of the family, and it's wrong that he shouldn't be invited. What do?
Invite him.
You say invite him.
Get it over with. Have the fight.
Okay. Well, there are strong arguments for both options. Perhaps it's going to create more fights. It's going to bring up other things that are not there. It's just one person. Let them out of this. Things will be simpler, etc. And I bring this question up because when it comes to morality and really what's right and what's wrong, there are often multiple ways of looking at it, and it's hard to discern and really get clarity of what is correct and what is appropriate in this decision. And everything has its answer in Torah. Sometimes it's harder to find it than others, but in today's Parsha, we could explore a certain angle and get some clarity in regards to morality. We're introduced to the very first formal ger, the first convert in Torah, and that is Yisro. Yisro, we know, is Moshe Rabbeinu's father-in-law. Yisro heard about everything that transpired with the Jewish people, and he came to join us in the desert in camp where all the Jewish people were. Now let's explore a little bit about who this man, Yisro, was from an angle of a bad person named Bilam. Bilam was a non-Jewish prophet, and in Bamidbar, the fourth book, when we learn about his interaction with the Jewish people, he went and cursed us. He had certain spiritual powers which God has given him. He tried to curse us. Thank you very much. Important correction. And he came to the Jewish people. He uses a term where he equates Amalek, and right afterwards he talks about Yisro. Okay, the pasuk says, "Vayares Amalek." Yisro saw Amalek. He took up his parable and said, "Amalek, you're the first of the nations, which started up with the Jewish people, and your fate will be everlasting destruction." And then he switches and he talks about Yisro, and he says, Yisro, he refers as Cani, but he says the descendants of Yisro, how firm is your dwelling place, and your nest is set in a cliff, which refers to the exact opposite of what Amalek is. Yisro has made a good choice, is in a good place.
This is Bilam talking?
Yes. He's talking in remuzim, he's talking in hints and poetic terminology, but he's referring to is somehow Amalek is one side of the equation and Yisro is the other side. And what does he mean when he says Yisro, your nest is in a firm place, is set in a cliff? So there's a mushal which the Medrash Rabbah flew to the statue of the king. The city square, there was a statue of the king. And the second bird who was trying to catch was on the shoulder, on the head of the statue of the king. And the hunter looks up and he says, if I throw a rock at you, I'll probably be sentenced to death for throwing a rock at a statue of the king. If I shoot an arrow, I may ruin the statue. You have escaped and you're in a safe place. Which basically I recognize that where you are, I can't harm you. And Bilam is using this concept when he talks about Yisro. He says, Amalek, you're in trouble. Your end is destruction, everlasting destruction. But Yisro, you're nested in a good place in the cliff, which means you're protected by the rock, and you're fine.
So why are we taking Bilam's word for this? Bilam's a Russian.
True, but it's brought in Torah, and although he has wicked intent, he does have certain divine abilities that were given to him. Unfortunately, he abused them, but he's able to foresee and even cause certain things to go in different directions in regards to the outcome of wars and so on. But this whole medrash and this whole text, which we bring from Bilam's conversation or Bilam's declaration, raises many questions. What's the connection of Yisro and Amalek? The Medrash also says that Yisro was equating Yisro to Avram. What's the connection between Avram and Yisro? Now, we may, at first glance, it's pretty obvious the connection to Yisro and Avram. Avram is the first person to recognize Hashem, and really the first Jew. And Yisro is the first convert, formal convert. There were others along the way that believed in Hashem, but to drop everything and become Jewish in the formal manner of Gerus, Yisro is the first one. Maybe we'll stop us soon and we'll do some of the questions instead of stopping in the middle. But I want to challenge this for a moment. Ask, which many of you may be thinking this, is it really that great that Yisro became a Yid? In other words, we have a principle that if somebody comes and wants to convert, we want to make sure that he's doing it for the right reasons. It's not because he understood that maybe this will give him status, or maybe there's some opportunity there, or maybe it's good for other reasons, there's a benefit. We have to make sure that he's doing it for the reason that he wants to accept Hashem, for the reason that he wants to get into Judaism. It's not for some kind of ulterior motive. And there's a process that we go through to ascertain that. Yisro, if you realize that his son-in-law was Moshe Rabbeinu, who just led the Jewish people out of Egypt, which is a tremendous feat. He was feared by everybody. He's leading the Jewish people. They split the sea. They're in the desert. It's not such a bad idea maybe to join them when your son-in-law is the king, for lack of a better term. How do we know that Yisro was truly sincere? So let's look a little bit at the history of Yisro. The Medrash, the Gemara, Masechta Sotah, Daf Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph, tells us that F.R.E.E had 3 advisors. When F.R.E.E came and he was trying to figure out what to do with the, quote, Jewish problem, that the Jewish people are getting larger and larger, they're growing, they're having 6 tuplets, and the nation is really multiplying quickly. He wanted to know what to do, so he gathered his 3 advisors. He had, Rabbi Bar Abba says in the name of Rabbi Simoi, that there were 3 people there. There was Bilam, Iyov, which is Job, and Yisro. And he asked them, what should I do? Now, Yisro told him, you're barking up the wrong tree. He didn't use that term, but he basically said, these people are chosen. Look what happened to Avram when F.R.E.E abducted Sarah. He was punished. Look what happened to Yitzchak. Look at their history. Lavan fought with Yaakov. Esau fought with Yaakov. In the end, they all came to reconcile. These things don't work out. These people are a nation which you don't want to start up with. Don't do it. If you really want to do good for yourself, Yisro told him, this is in his early days when he was still in Mitzrayim, an advisor to F.R.E.E, he said, send these Jews to Israel. That's the best option you could have. Now, F.R.E.E was enraged with him, and Yisro had to run away. Iyov was there, and Iyov just kept quiet. He didn't offer any advice. Bilam, the good friend of the Jews, sarcastically speaking, he said, no, don't worry, you should drown them. And if you drown them, there's no precedent that drowning them causes any problem. There's no precedent that we tried to do it and it didn't work out. Just do it, everything will be fine. And that's what F.R.E.E did. He went ahead with it and went to do it. So you see that Yisro, long before Moshe was even born, he wasn't even on the scene. He definitely wasn't his son-in-law. He was standing up. Yisro, long before Moshe was even born, he wasn't even on the scene. He definitely wasn't his son-in-law. He was standing up for what's correct. And he felt that the Jewish people are special. You can to run away to stand up for what's right. Not only that, but we know that Yisro worshipped every idol. The Mechiltas that existed, he tried everything, and he wasn't satisfied. The Torah tells us that Yisro had 7 daughters, and they were shepherds of his sheep. And the whole story when Moshe came to the well and he saw that the shepherds are not letting Yisro's daughter shepherd the sheep. The question is, and the Medrash says that Yisro was a priest for idolatry. And he decided that this for idolatry. And he decided that this is wrong. He came to the realization that the whole concept of worshiping idols is not true. It's all false. He doesn't want it anymore. So he gathered his people and he said, I'm getting old. I've been a priest here for so long. I am resigning. Not only that, but I'm giving away all of my idols. And they ostracized him. They said nobody could work for him. Nobody could help him. No one could do any business with him. And he really, really paid a price for this belief or this denial in idols. And that's why his daughters had to be his sheep, his shepherds. He was looking for a shepherd. Nobody would work for him. And it's very difficult for someone in that stage and that position. There's even an opinion he was the king in Midian, to get ostracized, to lose everything for the pursuit of truth. And he didn't even know what he's pursuing. He just knew what's wrong. Idols are not right. What is it? We don't know. Or he doesn't know yet. And again, this is before Moshe came around. Then Moshe came. And the question is, why did he wait so long to come join the Yidden? If you were ready to drop idol worship, if you were ready to pay the heavy price of what it cost him, his reputation and all of his relationships and his career and his status and everything, because you want to stop idols, go join the Yidden. Somehow the Torah says, Vayishma Yisro, you heard something, and that which he heard caused him to go. What happened till now? Why didn't you go? What did he hear altogether? Rashi brings from the Mechilta that he heard about the war of Amalek. Somehow Amalek does it. When he hears that Amalek was defeated, okay, now I'm going to join the Jews. Who was Amalek and what is his connection with the Yidden? So briefly, we all know who Amalek was. Amalek was the first person, we say it in davening, after davening every day. Zocher es asher asa l'cha Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to you when you're going out of Mitzrayim. Amalek came, asher korcha. It's a person leading a nation. Amalek came and they happened against the Jews. They chanced upon the Jews, which doesn't mean chance. They deliberately did it. They actually traveled over 1,000 miles, but they deliberately went to people. The Medrash gives us the following story. It's an analogy of a person who was standing in front of a very boiling bath. It was very, very hot water, and nobody could go in. And some guy comes by, and he jumps into this bath of water. Now, he burnt himself because it's very, very hot. But everybody around said, it's not that hot. Look, he went into it. So he cooled off the waters in the sense that he made it doable. Now, you can get into it. It's possible. Similarly, the world said the Jews are untouchable. They're red hot. They just came out of Mitzrayim. No slave ever escaped Mitzrayim. And there a whole nation gets out. The sea was split for them. Reality that the Jews are untouchable, they paved the way. Anyone that wants can go and fight with them, can go and start up with them and so on. And that's Amalek's thing. Now, Amalek, why did he hate the Jewish people? There's no reason for it. He wasn't anywhere near the Jews. He wasn't impacted in any way for them being in Mitzrayim, leaving Mitzrayim. He was very far from them. They traveled a great distance in the desert to go just for the purpose of destroying the Jewish people. It was hate without reason. It wasn't something which was a territorial discussion, as if that's ever the reason. But it wasn't territorial. It wasn't some kind of competition regarding funds. It wasn't any type of war. It was simply, we don't like these people. They're not slaves anymore. Let's go kill them. Hate for no reason. So why did Yisro wait till Amalek came around and Amalek was defeated before he joined the Yidden? So let's look a little bit at two other figures which came before them, and that's Yaakov and Esav. We know that Yaakov and Esav are two extremes. When Rivka, their mother, was expecting, not knowing yet that it was twins, she was expecting, finally, after many years, painful. And she went to Shem, who was the prophet, the teacher at the time, and she asked him, what's this issue? What's the problem? He says, she explains, every time I walk past a shul or some place of learning, I feel kicking, so something inside me wants to leave. And then when I pass by a place of idol worship, again I feel this. So what's kind of interesting person am I going to give birth to? He wants to go to both places. What's going on? And he explained to her, no, you have two separate individuals within you. It's twins. And one is going to be going towards the shul to serve Hashem and to learn. that these two entities is strong up, Esav will be down. If Esav is up and strong, they're never going to be on the same. Hashem speaks about creation and says, Torah tells us by Yisro that there were two great taninim. The Medrash tells us it refers to two great serpents, Yaakov and Esav. What do we mean when we say serpents? Serpents is the type of creature that bites even for no reason. Most animals that are predators are doing it because they want food or protection, or afraid. They're not just going to harm for no reason. The serpent, the snake, does. There's no ulterior motive. There's no request for reward. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do, and that's what I want to do. Esav is the same concept. He wants to do hatred. He wants to do bad without any special reason, just because. And Yisro is, in a sense, the descendant of Yaakov. He wants what's right. If idol worship is wrong, I want out. What's right? I don't know. Why am I doing this? Because what's correct, because it's correct, regardless of the price I have to pay, and regardless of any gain from it or lack thereof. Okay, so Yisro was like Yaakov in this regards. He left everything because of his conviction of what's correct. What's respect me as a result. I make sense because I'm the king, I'm the leader. Realized that something here doesn't make sense. We can't worship the sun, the moon, the stars, whatever, because of a person who was passing by, traveling, and he sees a house. It's all lit up. There's lights and there's candles, and it's a beautiful sight. And he says, somebody must be in charge here. Who runs this place? As he was exploring and he said, no, these things can't be real, that's when Hashem revealed himself to him. Just like Yisro. Yisro didn't find Hashem. He was in Mitzrayim. He told Parah, you can't hurt these people. It's wrong. It's not going to work. He dropped everything because idol worship didn't make sense to him. It was false. He didn't know of the Moshe part yet. Moshe appeared on the scene after that. How old was Avram when he recognized Hashem? There's two opinions in Gemara, in the Medrash. Rabbi Levi says in the name of Rosh Lakish, Ben Gimel Shana, he was 3 years old when Avram Avinu recognized the Creator. And Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Yechanan both say that he was 48. But whatever the case was, he didn't wake up one day and hear a voice. Okay? He didn't have some kind of prophecy. First, he negated idol worship. And then he had it. And Yisro did the same thing. Which means that you're doing the right thing because you know it's right. You don't know the rest of the picture. You don't know how this is going to work out, but you know that it's correct. And that's the way that we're supposed to make decisions. That's the way that we are supposed to see things and really act. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Why did Yisro wait for Amalek? What took him so long to come around? Yisro understood that if I do the right thing because it's right, Yisro does the wrong thing because it's wrong. Amalek does the wrong thing because it's wrong. He doesn't care about how it affects him or doesn't affect him. The Jews had no impact and no connection to Amalek whatsoever. He just went and wanted to do harm. And Yisro said, I won't be able to come into this and really succeed because in a sense, my counterpart is Amalek. So if his hatred doesn't work, if he's defeated, then I could come and I could be successful in my pursuit of truth. In other words, joining the Jewish people to that sense. Because as Shem told Yaakov and Esav, they are not going to be equal in their goodness. When one is up, the other one is going to be down. And when Yisro sees that Amalek was defeated, now I'm going to be up. He still believed before then, but to join the Jewish people, to come into the desert and join it, there's a stage here that has to take place. He wanted to be sure that his new path could succeed. He dropped idol worship a long time ago. But to come into the Yidden, to go to the desert and it should stick, it should actually work, Amalek has to be gone. Because just like by Yaakov and Esav, Yisro and Bilam don't go together. The Rambam, in the laws of Tshuva, talks about the concept that a person serves Hashem, it should not be for reward. There are rewards, but don't say I'm going to work and do what Hashem wants because it's beneficial. Life is better if you keep Shabbos. You'll have more, happier home if you keep other mitzvahs. You'll all these. Don't do it for this reason. Do it because it's right. I want to go back to our original question. A person has a brother who they're not speaking to, and the siblings don't want him to be there. He wants him to be there. What should he do? What's right? What's wrong? He's going to be offended here. This group is going to be offended there. It's not about offending. It's about what's right. If it's wrong, don't do it. Even if you think it'll work out in your chess game. If it's good, do it. Even if there's a price to pay. Because when it comes to morality, let's look at Yaakov and Esav. Let's look at Yisro and Amalek. Let's look at the two paths people could take. There's a path that says, I love evil because it's evil. And I'm going to do what's wrong because I want to do wrong things. And that's Esav, hating for no reason. That is Amalek, doing destruction for no reason. There's no gain here even. It's not like he was selfish. There's nothing here in it for him. He gains nothing by hurting the Jewish people. He's not conquering land. There's nothing here. It's simply out of hatred. And then there's the Yaakov path. You do what's right because it's right. You do what Avram does because it's right. You negate evil because it's wrong. This is what Yaakov did. This is what Avram before him did. This is what Yisro did. And that's how we should make decisions in our life. Yisro is this first ger, this first convert the Torah tells us about, to express and really to teach us this powerful lesson that you don't always have the full picture. You don't always know how it's going to work out. That doesn't change. You try to figure out what's true, what's correct, what's moral, what does Torah want from me, and that's the decisions that I make. We're sure it'll work out, but you don't have to wait till you have the entire picture and everything fits to make that decision. Thank you so much for joining. You had some questions?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we will continue. Have a wonderful day.
What you said about Amalek.